And our next opening statement will be by Kevin James.
Thank you, and thank you to the Hollywood Chamber, all of you for coming tonight. You know, I'm 49 years old. I moved here 25 years ago. I've been a lawyer in this town for that entire time. I was a federal prosecutor here in Los Angeles. I have nonprofit experience. I was the chairman of AIDS Project Los Angeles, just a few blocks up the road. I had the privilege of covering the city of Los Angeles as a radio host on KABC and KRLA. You know, just 6 days ago, Eric Garcetti gave a speech at Los Angeles City College, and he said, "City Hall is broken." I'm running this campaign against the former City Council President, against the former City Council President Pro Tem, and against the City Controller. The three of them, ladies and gentlemen, they are City Hall. City Hall is broken, and they broke it. Now it is going to take all of us together to put Los Angeles back together. Join me in making Los Angeles business friendly. Join me in bringing jobs back. Together, we can bring Hollywood home. I will make Los Angeles a business friendly city again. I will budget the city of Los Angeles with a long-term solution, not those short-term one-off gimmicks that we've had. I will spend infrastructure money on infrastructure projects instead of spending that money to cover the fact that the city is on the verge of bankruptcy. I will use the power of the mayoral podium to effect education reform for the LAUSD. I will expose and end the culture of corruption in Los Angeles from the inside. I will reform the city council so that it becomes a community city council again, not just for the special interests. I will present transportation projects that are well planned, that are smartly thought out. Ladies and gentlemen, join me on March 5th, 2013. Let's bring Los Angeles back. We can do this together. Thank you all.
The first question. Would you have voted yes or no on the city's recently approved Hollywood Community Plan update? Candidate is Kevin James.
Tracy, I do actually have enough information to give you an answer, unlike what we just heard. I would vote no on the Hollywood Community Plan update. There are a number of problems. There are a number of problems with the Hollywood Community Plan update. It has found itself in a lawsuit. What a lot of people in the city don't know is our city is required by law to produce an infrastructure report. They haven't done that in over 10 years. How can you pass the Hollywood Community Plan when you have no idea what the infrastructure report is for the community and what the infrastructure and what the strains on the infrastructure will show? We all lived through this latest scandal of the fire department response times. They can't tell us, they don't have serious data on what the fire department response times really are. How can you then implement a Hollywood Community Plan that allows all kinds of upzoning, all kinds of densification? I'll tell you something else. The data that they use for the Hollywood Community Plan is old data from SCAG, and that data is outdated. And if you look at new data, you don't see the kind of growth in Hollywood that warrants what they are wanting to do in the Hollywood Community Plan. It's bad for the community, it's dangerous for the community, and it's not good for the economy either. So my answer clearly is no.
Thank you. For rebuttal, I'll repeat the question, and we will begin with the rebuttal. Each candidate, again, getting 1 minute. The question again is, would you have voted yes or no on the city's recently approved Hollywood Community Plan update? And rebuttal will begin with Eric Garcetti.
You know, we heard Mr. Garcetti talk about the city being full of bad planning. The city is full of bad planning. I'll give you some examples of bad planning right here in Hollywood. Sunset Gordon. That plan is wrapped up in the county tax assessor scandal. Hollywood Gallery. That plan as well. Do you know that a district judge recently stated that this city council violated the due process rights of the community that objected to that plan? Talking about getting to yes, I want to get to yes too, but I want to get to yes by following the law. That's something that this city council, that this city government has failed to do time and time and time again. There's something else that a mayor must do. A mayor has to listen to the community. A mayor has to consider what the community wants. It's not just what the special interest wants. It's not just what the big developer wants. We have to have a vision for what Los Angeles can be. And to get that vision, you get it from the people. And find me someone in City Hall, find me somebody in the city of Los Angeles that believes that that really happens in this city government. Thank you.
Now, according to ratepayer advocate Dr. Fred Pickle, businesses will be realizing double-digit water and power rate increases for the foreseeable future. With this in mind, what is your plan to meet the city's 33% renewable energy goals by the year 2020, as mandated by AB 32?
Tracy, I will get there by spending the ratepayer money to meet the guideline, instead of spending the ratepayer money for over-the-top salaries like all of my opponents have done. You know, whenever we see a ratepayer increase in the city of Los Angeles, they will tell you that it's for the energy cost adjustment factor, they'll tell you that it's for some sort of infrastructure improvement, but go find me that infrastructure improvement. It is not for that. Whenever you see a ratepayer increase, what it is a salary increase. That coincides. We have to stop that. In the city of Los Angeles, with the DWP, you know that the DWP employees, as Bloomberg News reported, makes 40% more than other city employees. Well, I've been a partner in a law firm for a very long time. Let me tell you something. That doesn't instill a lot of camaraderie and great attitudes for your city employees. Recently, when we were discussing pension reform and the mayor's proposed pension reform guidelines, I was answering questions of reporters on this. Do you know that the DWP was left out of it? We have to bring in all of our city family to renegotiate, to get to the point where we have to solve all of these problems. And isn't it interesting, once again, we have another city official that wants to talk about another dishonest department. Do something about it. Let me tell you a little bit about the ratepayer advocate. I thought that we had 15 ratepayer advocates and we had elected them. It's the Los Angeles City Council. That was their job. The reason they needed a ratepayer advocate is because politically, they could not touch the IBEW and the control that they have in City Hall because of the funds transfer of $300 or so million. And IBEW has a lot of influence in City Hall. So they wanted this guardian, this ability to use this political process to convince Angelenos that we really should be raising your rates through the roof. Now is not the time to do that. We can't afford it. And the DWP, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't come to us with any level of credibility. You've heard Ms. Gould talk about their dishonesty twice tonight. They lied to us about the solar initiative Measure B. They weren't honest about the energy cost adjustment factor. The city council officials, including Ms. Gould, called them extortionists in connection with the funds transfer in 2010. And as far as AB 32, what that will do to California jobs, I'll be the mayor that will revisit that from the mayoral podium. Thank you.
The third question there. In addition to core services, police, fire, streets, water, please list 3 additional services in the order of priority that you believe should be fully funded and provided to the residents of Los Angeles. Explain how you would pay for these services, and we will begin with Kevin James.
The first would be a corruption information officer, Tracy. I put this information about this on my website. You have to have a corruption information officer in the city of Los Angeles. If it's not fully funded, I'll pay for it out of the mayor's budget. The corruption information officer is essentially a whistleblower line. We have so much corruption in the city of Los Angeles. You know, we have a number of departments that are under federal investigation. We have a number of people that have been indicted in City Hall. We have, of course, the Coliseum Commission scandal, the Housing Department scandal, the Housing Association scandal. You can just go on down the list. The tax assessor scandal is going to fit the city. I'll tell you something else we need, Tracy, and that is a discretionary funds oversight officer. The reason you need to have that is it's amazing the amount of money our elected officials have in discretionary funds. Right? They are essentially slush funds. And we'll have some dire need for something in a part of our city, and they can't seem to come up with the money for it. The discretionary funds oversight officer is something that would as well. And finally, the third position is the outside independent auditor of the DWP. Not someone from the inside that has been paid by the DWP.
Services, Kevin James.
I've got you a fourth, Tracy. I would go find this city engineer. We apparently can't find the city engineer in the city of Los Angeles. I know they have them in Burbank, they have them in Beverly Hills. I'm going to go hire that city engineer. We will pay them out of the mayoral budget. A city engineer that knows how to make a manhole cover level with the street. We cannot do it. I don't know, Ms. Gould talks about paving Wilshire Boulevard. Do you realize that we have, these city officials are talking about something so basic as paving a street and you get elected mayor? We paved our streets a long time ago. If city government had been doing their jobs, this used to be a business-friendly city. We don't need an office to do it. We just need to get out of their way. I would put forth a business improvement package on day one. It consists of two things: the realistic elimination of the gross receipts method of calculating our business tax and streamlining the permitting process in Los Angeles. It can't take 15 to 17 departments, or even 12, as they were saying, to open up a business. Thank you.
What are the top 3 things you would recommend the city to be competitive in attracting and retaining businesses in Los Angeles? What additional programs and incentives can the city provide in order to curb runaway production in Los Angeles?
Ladies and gentlemen, who has been in office for the last 10 years when we have seen the exit of an entire industry? You are looking at them except for me. They have been at the forefront of the outsourcing of the entertainment industry. These ideas sound great tonight, but where were they in the last several years? I will tell you what I will do, Tracy. We absolutely have to have a total business tax reform. We have to streamline the permitting process, as I mentioned before. Let me tell you how I'm going to do it. Because people think that you will have some opposition from the city council. We've seen opposition from the city council on lots of things. I've been a broadcaster for a decade. You can get things done by going around the Los Angeles City Council. I will go around the city council, use the radio waves and the television airwaves, and get real reform put on the ballot. Because if the city council won't give us business tax reform, the people will. My rebuttal on this, Tracy. All of my fellow candidates up here, you've heard them talk a lot about tax incentives and being friendly to these private businesses. The 3 of you might be well advised to run that by the unions that support your campaigns, because I'm not sure when they hear what you're proposing that they're going to be entirely copacetic with that, number 1. Number 2, Eric, if you called LegalZoom, I would love to know about it. LegalZoom was the Hollywood District's largest employer. 550 employees in Hollywood. A sponsor of my radio show, a major sponsor of my radio show. But they left the city. All right, the city council would not cooperate with LegalZoom to make them an internet-based business. Instead, they wanted to characterize them as a service business, which pays the highest gross receipts tax. What did LegalZoom do? All right, they took their headquarters to Glendale and their call center to Dallas. And now they've got the Texas bug. What do you think is going to happen to their headquarters? Thank you.
Well, everyone will get a chance.
Thank you all for your attention tonight. You know, we've had the opportunity to hear and to touch on some of the issues that are important to Los Angeles. We've actually heard some good ideas from the stage tonight, from my opponents, but ladies and gentlemen, as well as myself. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in here knows that Los Angeles is in a time of crisis. As the Wall Street Journal put it, we have been in a decade of decline. The chief administrative officer for the city said that the city is on the verge of bankruptcy. Our unemployment rate is 50% higher than the national average. Our city government has developed a national reputation for corruption. That has happened because of the poor planning and the bad decisions made by my opponents. You cannot solve the city's problems with the same level of thinking that caused them. Join me, ladies and gentlemen, in turning Los Angeles around. In this city, we have the opportunity to do so. The decisions that my opponents have been making has been dictated to them by the special interests that support their campaigns. For them, this office is a step in their political careers. But we need a full-time mayor. We don't need someone who is actually just looking for the next office. In a city with the level of corruption that we have, imagine the message that is sent to our entire city family on the way we're going to do business when the city elects a former federal prosecutor to move into the mayor's office. We have real opportunity here. I have real solutions. They're available on my website at kevinjamesformayor.com. And by the way, the media says that I don't have the same financial backing as my opponents. Let me just tell you, I am completely confident that we will have the financial backing to win this race. So join me on March 5th, 2013, and let's put Los Angeles back on track. Thank you.